Welcome to the Lummy Sports Show featuring Brian the Babyface Matroni. I am Brian the Babyface Matroni, and I'm joined as always by the incomparable, the most over, the belt holder, the man, the myth, the legend, Lummix.
Thank you, Brian, for that introduction. I am not the current belt holder, but...
Who took the strap from you?
It's sitting right behind you. The bar took it.
Oh.
So no one actually has it at their current time, but... Welcome, Brian. I'm glad we're back. We've had a little ups and downs on schedule.
You know, it's been tough. None of it was my fault. Let's preface it by saying that. I was very accommodating to everybody's schedule.
Yes,
and
I just want to let everyone out there know. Last week, I had a couple things come up that I had to handle.
We moved it. Well, let's be clear.
Yes.
We moved the show forward, and then apparently it takes concrete a long time to dry. And so the 12 o'clock start time for our sports show, unfortunately, got pushed back.
It got pushed back
to never.
Actually, it got pushed back to today.
To today, we delayed the show by a week and 4 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we need a little bit more stuff to talk about in
I
sports.
will say it is kind of the slow season. There isn't a ton to talk about.
But I did feel bad. I want everyone to know it was not Brian's fault. I had a couple of things I needed to handle personally later that day. And Brian was so gracious to appear here at 12 o'clock when we were going to go live from 12 to 1:30. That was the day that the Concrete Show on the podcast, which was a great, Bubba went long, and obviously it's Bubba's studio. Bubba can do what he wants.
Oh, yeah, we're not mad about it. No. Let's be
Yeah.
clear. We're not mad about it. I thought it was funny. I was here.
Yeah.
It was no big deal. I had planned for it anyways, so whether I watched it, we did the show or I watched from outside there, it was no big deal. I do want to say for the listeners who did not listen in 2 weeks ago that I got the first and only jersey that I'll ever wear. As you can see, it says Bubba Army 69 on the front. And, of course, it says Babyface 420 on the back.
Thank you to a Tampa Terrier that made that suggestion. And Nick, the gun guy, who made that happen with a T-shirt wheel kicker, 81390BUBBA.
We'll be taking pre-orders on this jersey.
Yes,
if you guys want to get
proceeds.
it, I think $69.99 sounds like a very reasonable price for this jersey. I'll even autograph it if you want.
That's $79.99.
That knocks the price down to $59.99.
All proceeds go to Bubba the Love Sponge.
Of course, I don't want any part of it, but if you guys want one of these jerseys and we get enough demand for them, maybe we can have these printed up and sold.
Oh, I can totally see a lot of people wanting to mark those out.
The Babyface 420 Bubba
yeah.
Army 69 jerseys with the American flag kicker on the side.
That makes it more patriotic. I could see that going around on the MLB. Seeing it out there at the Rays games, the Oakland A games, maybe the minor leagues, single A, Tampa Bay Tarpon games. But Brian, how you been?
I've been good, man. How are you?
It's been a while.
We got one buyer. Mitch says he'll buy one.
Of course, Mitch will buy one. Mitch and Mark will buy anything that you throw out. He's a big time Brian the Babyface Mark.
No, he is. We go way back with Mitch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you have 2 weeks now. A lot of sports going on. Have you been checking out baseball? Obviously, the Lightning won. What's your opinions going into this series starting tonight? Lightning, Rangers in New York. I'm happy that the Rangers won. What are you
Why
thinking
are you
about
happy
that
the Rangers won?
Well, see, I'm thinking Igor, the Rangers goalie.
It's pronounced Igor.
Is it? Well, you know what? I was listening to Pittsburgh because
I'm joking. It's Igor.
Okay. Oh, I was going to say the Penguins, they do pronounce some shit wrong sometimes. I am a Penguins mark outside of the Lightning, as you would know. And the fans were always screaming, Igor, Igor. So I think he's a good goalie. I don't think he showed enough in his career to make it look like he can carry this third series.
Well,
Vasilevsky, I believe. I mean, he's been there. He's done it. He's finally hit that hot streak, and I think that he can handle that.
Well, to me, even the problem for New York is they can't afford goalkeeping to be a wash. They have to just be a wash. Shesterkin, Sheshi, as they call him, Sheshti, they need him to play at another worldly level because the the top two lines are essentially a wash between the Lightning and the Rangers. The problem for the Rangers is depth. And the Lightning third and fourth lines are superior to pretty much what every team in the NHL can roll out there. And so in order to beat them, they've got to have their goalie play at a level that he's probably not at this point in his career capable of in the playoffs against a team as loaded as the Lightning, because the Lightning also have the advantage in defensive depth. The kid Fox from the Rangers is pretty good, although Heddy, I would take him over Fox. But then pretty much everywhere else down the line on the defensive side, the Lightning are superior in terms of who they're rolling out between McDonough and Chernak and even what's his face? Why am I forgetting his name all of a sudden?
Who are you talking about?
Sergachev. I don't know why I blanked on his freaking name. Even Sergachev. So Shesterkin is going to have to literally steal 2 games for them in order to win this series, and I just don't see it happening, which is why I have the Lightning in 6.
He's 26. This is his second season.
Second full season, yeah.
Correct. I believe it's his first playoffs, right? Or is it his second? Did the Rangers make it last year?
They may have been in like an early.
The first round?
I don't know though.
Because I would say no.
I think they fell up short last year.
I think this is his first playoff. Obviously, he's playing way above where he's ever played before. Vasilevsky has obviously been here multiple times. I think he is riding high. Igor is riding high. I don't think it's his time yet. I think they're saying he's going to win the was it the Vezina trophy? Vezina is the Vezina. Sorry, the Vezina.
It was
Cup
number
trophy.
one bullshit that Vasi didn't win that last year. Remember, that was the number one bullshit then.
But I mean, if he wins it, I think he's riding high. I just don't think it's his year. He's obviously young enough. I think he's kind of peaked at the right time. I feel, and maybe you can disagree with me, I feel like New York is bigger, but they are a little slower than the Lightning, and I know the Lightning have had those dead legs, as a lot of people said.
The problem,
but they've showed a lot, like against the Panthers, they showed a lot more speed.
The problem for New York is they don't drive play enough. They don't dictate the pace of play. So the Lightning are going to be able to play however the Lightning want, given New York's style. The Lightning were able to dictate the pace of play against the Panthers, and we saw how that turned out. The Panthers have way more offensive firepower than the Rangers. I mean, substantially more.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, Artemi Panarin has been a little bit lackluster for the Rangers, but they also still have Chris Kreider. They've got some star power. They have some firepower on their top 2 lines. Those top 2 lines could play the Lightning equal. The problem is if we keep getting the production that we're getting. The problem for the rest of the league is if the Lightning get the production that they're getting from Corey Perry and Ross Colton, you can't beat the Lightning when their third line is performing the way that the third line is performed in all 3 playoffs. I mean, it was the Goodrow-Coleman line, Goodrow-Coleman-Gord line the last 2 years, and now it's this makeshift third line that's been thrust upon the Lightning with Ross Colton, Brendan Hagel, and Corey Perry. And,
is that Maroon on that third line?
No, Maroon has been bouncing around a little bit. He's a fourth liner. And he's been exceptional on the fourth line for them. Yeah, he's only played like 8 to 10 minutes a game, but he's absolutely controlled the pace of play when he's in there. His forechecking has been exceptional, and he's produced for them offensively, which is such an added bonus. You cannot beat the Lightning if their third and fourth lines are scoring for them, and they have been. I mean, you got to understand, our second line hasn't done shit. Cirelli and Killorn have been non-existent. Now, I think playing more with Palat, he might be able to facilitate against the Rangers. But even if that second line doesn't produce, if the power play's cooking, and that's another thing, everybody's like, oh, the Rangers power play. The Rangers power play has overachieved versus what they should be performing. And so I think you're going to see them come back down to earth against the Lightning. The Lightning's penalty kill's better than the Rangers' penalty kill. And the Lightning will win this series at 5-on-5 and on special teams. It could be 5, but I think the more likely outcome is 6.
You think 6 at home in Tampa?
Yeah.
And one thing, too, I believe Igor had, 32 saves against Carolina. Was that Sunday or Monday?
It would have been Monday.
So Monday, 32 saves. I mean, he obviously stepped up his game. The Lightning, what is your opinion on taking this long break from sweeping the Panthers to come back and face a Game 7. You know, the Rangers went to Game 7. What's your opinion on like how they're going to come out? You think they're going to come out rusty?
If it was 2019 Lightning, I'd be worried. But this is a team now that they know what they're doing. They know what it takes to win. And it sounds cliche, and it's one of those things that gets said in the NHL so much more than other leagues. But it's true. Is you have to learn how to win in the playoffs, and you have to learn how to control your emotions. Preserve your energy and do the things that it takes. And the Lightning have done that the last 2 seasons against the odds in the bubble in 2020, and then the weird setup last year in 2021. They've found a way to make it happen in very difficult circumstances. And so this team is battle tested. They've proven me wrong. I'm done doubting them. I doubted them against Toronto, and I thought it was going to carry over into Florida, and they looked tired, and they found a way. They managed to hold back the Maple Leafs long enough, and then now if Vasi is dialed in, if Game 6, 7, and then 1 through 4 against the Panthers, Vasi show up, there's nobody in the league I don't care about Colorado and their ability to score 8 goals in a game.
Yeah,
I don't care. Which, first of all, they shouldn't have even won that game because the first goal was offside at the end of the first period, and then that led to a power play goal to start the second period. So that game's totally different if the refs get that call right on Cole Maker being offside last night. But that's neither here nor there because Mike Smith's garbage, and they're going to beat Edmonton. That's not a problem for them. But if Vasi is on his game, I don't care what the Avalanche bring. The Lightning will beat them.
Did you see that Vasi is probably one of the greatest postseason goaltenders currently in history?
I don't think there's any doubt about it. In fact, I will say this. If Andrei Vasilevsky wins another Stanley Cup this season with the Lightning, he moves into 3rd greatest goalie of all time. This isn't even up for a debate at this point. And you can pick your 1-2, right? It's either Patrick Waugh or Brodeur. Right,
Dominic Hasek.
No, Hasek is a great regular season goalie, but he only got 1 cup. And Vasi has been a incredible regular season goalie and the best playoff goalie that we've seen in recent memory. And so, to me, he is now, if he wins this 3rd one, he's going to get there no matter what. But right now, in this moment, if he wins his 3rd consecutive Stanley Cup playing the way he's played, the Mount Rushmore of hockey goalies is Waugh, Brodeur, Vasilevsky, Hasek, in that order. And then Dryden's number 5, the old Canadiens goalie back in the day.
So I found a stat, it was yesterday, I was kind of just doing a little deep dive into it. Vasi, this postseason, is 8-3, and he has gone against the 2 best offensive teams in the regular season.
With a .932 save percentage, and I think it's a 2.25 goals against average or something like that.
It's something, it's in the 2s.
It's low 2s. It's insane. I mean, they got the toughest matchup they were going to get from the East in the first round from Toronto. Toronto very easily could have gone on to win the Stanley Cup if the Lightning hadn't have beaten them. And I think we're seeing that now.
So you think Toronto just would have did the same thing against the Panthers?
The Panthers team that I saw, absolutely.
Well, the second round.
Could their goalie have stopped them? It would have been. It wouldn't have been the way the Lightning beat them. It wouldn't have been a sweep. But I think the Leafs playing the way they played against the Lightning, they beat the Panthers in 6.
Okay, I can see that. I was going to say, because if you go into...
The Panthers didn't look good against the Caps either. And keep in mind, the Panthers don't know how to win in the playoffs either. This was their first playoff series win since like 1996 this year. So they don't have that winning mindset. They don't have a winning coach. They don't have a playoff-tested coach in the Barnett guy. He was outmatched and outclassed against Cooper. He didn't know how to pull the right strings at the right time and to say the right thing at the right time. And to say that you guys are completely getting outplayed out there and one team wants it more than the other when you don't have the trust of your locker room or veteran leadership in that locker room was a mistake. And the series was over as soon as he made that comment.
Do you think it would have been a different series if the Panthers would have kept the former coach that was fired?
Quenneville?
Yeah. the one from the
I think,
Blackhawks,
yeah,
right?
absolutely, because he has experience. He's one of the few coaches in the NHL who have the pedigree that John Cooper has at this point. And so, yeah, I think if they could have kept him, but the controversy around him and the whole harassment thing was a little bit too much. But if they could have kept him, I think the Panthers would have been in better shape, yes.
So you're taking right now Lightning in 6.
Lightning in 6. Give me the Avalanche in 6. And then give me Lightning in 7 in the Stanley Cup Finals against the Avalanche.
Really?
Yeah.
And then the Avs would have they have home field advantage on that one, right?
It's ice, but yes.
What did I say? Home field, whatever. Home ice advantage.
That's what they say in the NHL.
I know, you're right. So you have Avs in 6, Lightning in 6, and then you'd have the Lightning in 7.
Correct.
So I know our good friend Grouper Lips, Hall of Famer Grouper Lips. He's a big Avs mark.
I think you would agree with me that that's what's going to happen.
Not at all.
No, 100%.
I think that he disagrees because he keeps texting me almost every other game.
Well, I'm telling you right now, they can't give up 6 goals to the Lightning and expect to win. And if Kemper's not in goal for them, they have a dramatic step down with their backup. So we'll see. But if Darcy Kemper's truly injured, then he needs to Kemper his expectations for the Colorado Avalanche in the playoffs.
Switching up, I know obviously we've been football is 100 and some odd days away. I kind of wanted to talk about what was going on in the NFL from a lawyer's perspective with the Gruden whole thing with the court. What's your opinion on that?
Oh, I think the NFL's sweating bullets on this, yes.
Now, do you think that's going to hurt Roger Goodell?
Yes, it's going to hurt everybody because if this goes as far, it depends on how far Gruden wants to take this.
Do you think he takes it all the way? Because I do.
If he takes it all the way, and they get the discovery that he gets to get his hands on for this, it could get very ugly for the NFL depending on what they decided to cover up. The fact that we're hearing that owners are trying to find a way to get rid of Dan Snyder at this point leads me to believe that what is going to be revealed from the Gruden litigation is explosive and completely detrimental to the NFL brand as a whole. And part of the settlement with Gruden, I'm sure, will be getting Snyder out and ousted as an owner of that franchise and organization, and then, obviously paying him a lot of money.
Yeah, but do you see Gruden just being that guy that's going to take that huge paycheck and sit on the sideline? I mean, not even on, obviously, the NFL sideline, but just sitting in the bleachers?
He still said what he said, and does he want that to be constantly repeated in public, as to the comments that he made? And they weren't appropriate, and some of them were a little borderline. They were borderline comments.
It wasn't right, but still, do you think he wants his legacy to just be anyone that hears about John Gruden, it just is like, John Gruden, okay? Or do you want?
Well, I don't know that he's going to be. I don't know that he's going to find the vindication that he wants in this. This is a matter of not. If I'm going down and pulling down as many people as you can with him. He's not going to be vindicated by any sort of lawsuit or investigation. It's more so to put pressure on the NFL to settle with him monetarily, so that he lets this go. Because right now he's the only one withstanding to really discover what was in that investigation.
So you don't think that maybe John Gruden's like, yeah, you know what, let's just call out these other guys that are going to make what I said not as bad, and then, maybe get a nice little paycheck, and then we see John Gruden at the USFL or XFL. I
mean, that could be the ultimately the way it plays out. I'm not going to pretend to know. I didn't think Johnny Depp was going to be a net $13 million verdict today, quite honestly.
Was that $2 million to pay for the attorney fees?
Oh, gosh, God knows what the attorney's fees are on that. But this was all more for him and his own standing and reputation. This was an ego boost for him and a repudiation of some besmirching that happened to him by some lunatic ex. But yeah, that was kind of shocking. But the Gruden thing, we'll see where it ends up. I think they ultimately settle. I think that Daniel Snyder gets ousted as the owner of the Washington Redskins, and the NFL buries this
Washington football team.
Yeah, whatever.
Commanders.
The Washington Commandos. And the NFL tries their best to bury this as quickly as they can.
But with this let's just say, they have to pay John Gruden a record number. Now, does Roger get the boot? Do you think he has any way of losing his job from this?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think how this plays out will affect ownerships. The owners love him. I mean, they've
making a ton of money.
They're all making a ton of money together. So I really can't answer that question definitively. As to what ultimately happens to Roger Goodell, because a lot of it's going to, the next few moves are going to dictate that. If this litigation drags on and the NFL is exposed as having covered this up, I think Roger Goodell will be gone. I think Dan Snyder will be gone. And I think there'll be a massive shakeup in the NFL. If the owners can get out ahead of it, I think Roger Goodell can maintain his job, but they've got to find a way to get rid of Snyder.
813-90-BUBBA. 813-90-BUBBA. I don't know. I've heard on the Roger Goodell front that whatever, that the owners, if he doesn't sweep this whole thing up, that they are ready, because he makes a lot of money. I know he makes a lot of money for the owners.
$40 million a year, and he's got like a private jet for life. I mean, his deal is ridiculous, considering what the players are getting for risking their life and limb, and they're the real product on the field. The Goodell deal is the worst in sports. The worst.
But you don't think like the owners are seeing this now and going, okay, he set us up. We can get another guy in there that we might be able to control. It's going to be a clean image. He's already built this. We have the TV deals. We're moving into Europe. We can get someone similar to him, replace him, get rid of him. We clear the name. The NFL we just kind of broom, brush it under the table, boom, 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 broom it away, boom, 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 and then they move on. And Goodell's gone. John Gruden's got $250 million in his pocket.
It's not going to be $250, but he'll probably get like a $20 million settlement.
$20 million, that's it?
It's not going to be a huge number. What is his gripe? What is his gripe?
He can't coach anymore. You had a 10-year, $100 million deal, and he probably could have coached another 5-10 years.
Yeah, but if he's not going to prove that,
and he can't do TV anymore, and Tom
so
Brady's got that
here's
10,
what
30,
he has to
75?
he has to prove. If there's evidence that the NFL decided to make him a sacrificial lamb in this, and release everything onto him, and have him be the fall guy in this, then maybe he has some sort of malicious intent against them. But it's not as if though the things he said in those emails weren't true.
True, but he was singled out, and now.
Well, we'll see. I mean, whether or not he was singled out, or whether or not that was just of what got leaked, that was the worst that got leaked. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. It's always one of those funny things to me. Because somebody crying about this is like, saying, "Oh, he stole my cocaine." Okay, it's you still did something bad. You still did something bad.
But it wasn't illegal though, Brian.
What?
It wasn't illegal what he did.
No, but it's also not illegal to fire somebody who's made comments like that.
Well, I know, but like you said, it's not cocaine. Well, I was going to say this, Brian. Let's just say they find out like there's 5 coaches, right? And they just pick John. Like everyone said almost the same exact thing, and they just picked John Gruden. One out. That's pretty much, he has a closed case, right? That he's going to pretty much, that they just picked him, sent him out.
Well, if there's like emails saying, look, they want a pound of flesh on this, let's give them Gruden and make the attention about him and get the attention off the Washington franchise and Snyder, then that's going to be a problem for them. If that evidence exists, if the NFL's dumb enough to have that in writing or somebody testifies to that. I don't think that that's what's going to transpire, though. It's not going to be shown. It's going to be probably difficult for him to prove that's what happened. But if that is in fact what happened, I think he has a great case to be made that he was singled out and made to be this fall guy. The problem is it's not they're not false statements that they published. He said what he said.
That's true. But it's just one of those things where if more people were sitting there and agreeing and they didn't get thrown under the bus or their names
here to everybody in chat, listen, okay? The NFL is a giant business. They get to choose who they want to represent them. Okay, this is not a matter of free speech. This is not any of that. None of that comes into play. It's a private business deciding who they want to represent them and be part of their small little club. Okay, you can think that what he said wasn't that bad, whatever it is. It's the NFL's right, it's the Raiders' right, and that's the other question: is how much pressure was placed on the Raiders by the league to terminate him? Because what you have in that scenario, what his strongest argument most likely is tortious interference with the existing business relationship, because his contract was with the Raiders, and if he can show that the league put undue pressure on the Raiders to force his termination, that's his real claim to damage.
Okay, that's what I kind of was getting to, is that they went to, what's his name? I know it's Davis, but I don't know what his first name is.
Yeah.
Like they went to
Mark Davis.
And were like, hey, look, we got a lot of dirt on everyone. Just get rid of him. Like if they could prove that.
Well, or if they'd say, look, we need him to be the fall guy in this. They're not going to admit that they've got the dirt, on other, on other people in their communications with Davis. They're just going to say, look, we need him gone. He cannot. This is going to cost you draft picks if you don't fire him now. That sort of thing. That's where you get damages. That's where he can then make the claim that he wants the rest of his contract.
Now, speaking of the Raiders, did you see that they tried out Colin Kaepernick?
Yeah.
Now, they haven't really come out and said how he's doing or anything like that, have they? Because I haven't seen anything.
I haven't heard anything. I know the last time it was a whole big to-do about having cameras there and him trying to control the media coverage of it. But good for them. If somebody in the league thinks that he gives them a better chance of winning football games and is going to be worth the potential distraction of having him there, then by all means he deserves a shot.
Now, Brian, let me throw this out there in a little conspiracy here. The Raiders bring Colin Kaepernick in.
Mm-hmm.
The NFL's already said it with Colin Kaepernick. You don't think this is some kind of PR move where the Raiders are like, well, let me bring in Colin Kaepernick so we can keep ourselves a little out of this and keep the NFL all happy. So let's bring him in to work out. No other team wanted to bring him in, but the Raiders did. John Gruden's going to this, you know what I mean? Like they're all trying to just, kind of finesse it a little bit.
Maybe. I think it may be more of the Raiders, kind of giving an FU to the NFL, saying, you screwed us on the Gruden thing. We're going to keep Kaepernick relevant, and it's a sore subject for the league.
That is true.
And so they don't want the focus to be on Kaepernick heading into the NFL season, and here's the Raiders putting the focus back on Kaepernick, right?
Yep.
It becomes an off-season story again and all of that. It's not like the Raiders have problems selling tickets where they're at.
No, not at all.
It's not like they need this drama in their locker room.
And Kaepernick's not going to start over Derek Carr. I mean,
There's
Derek
no
Carr's
chance.
a stud. I mean, he's a superstar.
And you would
probably top 10
never
quarterback in the league.
You would never, ever, ever bring Kaepernick in to be your backup. I mean, that's lunacy. You can't have that type of distraction from your backup quarterback. If every week we were hearing about Blake Bortles in Tampa, that would be problematic. Or I'm sorry, Blaine Gabbert, or Blake Bortles, any of those losers.
Yeah, I mean,
if your backup is getting more attention than your starter. Now, I would say I would consider bringing him to be the backup in Cleveland to take some of the heat off of Deshaun.
Oh yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Like if I had a player that I wanted to insulate from controversy, I would consider bringing in Colin Kaepernick because that's going to be the attention getter, right?
Yeah.
If I had a player that I'm like, oh, he's coming off, he's got a little domestic thing going on, and maybe there's this issues. Let's bring in Kaepernick to be the lightning rod, and it'll take the attention off of this other guy. That's not a terrible strategy. I don't understand what the Raiders are thinking with it. Other than an FU to the league.
I like your thing, like, hey, FU. Like, you guys really just fucked our whole season over. You got rid of our coach we wanted. Obviously, the other stuff was not in there. It was not the NFL's fault. But I could see that where Colin Kaepernick said, all right, you know what? Let's bring him in and let's distract with this and keep him in the news. And maybe we will bring him on during the preseason, and maybe he'll look good. But you know what? We have he's not going to beat out Derek Carr, and maybe we'll release him. But he's got a good tape now, and if no other NFL team picks him up, well,
Yeah.
Once again, now it goes back on the NFL. Are they trying to keep him out?
If Kaepernick goes into but the problem is there's so few preseason snaps now.
That's true.
It's, you've got a quarterback that has to work with new receivers and build that rapport. But that's a great point. I mean, if they do sign him and let him be there, with no intention of keeping him.
But they pay him and they say, look, we have obviously quarterbacks. And he's a great quarterback. He's a great locker room. They overhype him. And they say, a team would be dumb not to pick him up as a backup. We just don't need him. And he just sits there. You know what I mean? Then Colin Kaepernick could go back and go, hey, look, once again, the NFL's keeping me down.
Yeah.
Teams aren't signing me for some reason.
Yeah, I put up great numbers, and I'm still sitting here.
Yeah, I'm looking good.
Yeah. Well, it's there's something potentially to that, but how about tennis, man? The French Open.
I knew you. 7:04.
Hey, what's going on, guys? How you doing?
Hey, it's Instar, the Tennis Talk. Yeah, let's go, buddy.
I didn't even know it was Instar. I swear to you, Lummy, I couldn't see it. But when Rafa Nadal gets to face Novak Djokovic and have a 4-hour epic 4-set on the clay slugfest, and Nadal gets the shot at one more French, you got to talk about it.
You got to talk about it. It's legendary stuff. The all-time rivalry is 30-29, and I think Djokovic is winning that. And it was an epic match. It was really awesome. Shows that the score doesn't really show how close the match actually was. A lot of 20-point rallies.
Well, the amount of time does, though. When you have a 4-setter that goes 4 hours, you know that you had a hell of a match or a lot of injury timeouts.
Yeah, they said the average game was 7 minutes long.
Yeah,
it was some big shot tennis. It was really nice to see, and I thought Joker was going to smoke Nadal, and that did not happen.
Well, I thought it was a mistake to seed Nadal 5th. I think his loss in Madrid opened the stage to seed Alcaraz 5 and Nadal 6, which then would have avoided the Nadal-Djokovic matchup until the semis and allowed Nadal to beat Zverev and Djokovic to beat Alcaraz and then face each other in the semis, which is more appropriate than this being a quarterfinal matchup.
Oh, yeah, and if you think these seedings are messed up, wait until Wimbledon rolls around the corner. They'll jack them up, too.
Yeah.
Just watch.
So the kids aren't ready to take over yet. That's what we learned. FAA still has some work to do on his game, although he took Nadal to the brink, and Alcaraz quite not there yet. So it's going to be another
physical.
What's that?
He got out physically played by Zverev, and I didn't think that was actually possible. I mean, Zverev's a pretty big guy, but Alcaraz got pushed around on that court, especially on the first serve. Zverev had a second serve going, which if you timestamp my calls like you should, Lummy, you can go back and see. I've always been huge on Zverev and FAA not having second serves. But they proved me wrong this tournament.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
the minute I start timestamping your tennis talk is the day I put a gun in my head.
You retire from radio.
Yeah, I retire from everything in life.
Wow. That's heavy, man.
Well, yeah, because it's tennis talk.
I mean, I'm looking at the draw here, and I think it's absolutely going to be Nadal raising the trophy one more time.
I mean, Nadal is probably going to raise the trophy, but something about Cilic, man, it's about him going to something about him going to the finals. It's just.
I mean, the Medvedev victory was really impressive, but other than that, he's had a relatively easy road to the semis.
And I was surprised Medvedev was that high. I kind of thought him at number 2. I really wasn't feeling
not
that.
On clay.
On clay. Even he hard courts are more of his specialty. Wimbledon, I think he's definitely a top-seeded player. But for the French, and historically speaking, they've always kind of went their own route with seeding. A lot of the slams do, and he wasn't really having that great of a clay court season. He had a couple wins, but wasn't that great.
Do you think they should Here's what I really want to ask you. Do you think they should start reseeding the majors in the quarters?
Yes, I've always thought that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they won't. And it's going to be tricky this year with Wimbledon with no points, and players already saying they're not going to play because there's no points. It's just going to be one of those things. It's going to be tricky to walk around. But I think at the quarters they should reseed the tournament, Now, then you got player appearance fees, and you got all these other. I mean, each player's its own corporation, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way with the politics.
Yep. All righty.
All
well,
right, tennis talk is done with him.
Great call. Great tennis talk.
Oh, sorry. Is this tennis talk? Yeah, Kaepernick.
On the Kaepernick end, what I find fascinating is that the Raiders are going to sign him, and if they do, if they don't, the guy, I don't know if he can play or if he can't. But I remember the words he said about Castro and why when he was down in Miami. And it's interesting, week 2, the Raiders do play Miami. And I don't know. I don't think that they're going to
I think
sign
you're
him.
stretching a little bit more on that one because there's no way that the Raiders are going to bring him in as a backup or a third stringer. Brian, do you know who the backup is for the Raiders?
I think it's your mom.
Well, my mom is actually way better than Colin Kaepernick, so I don't see them. You're a dick, Brian. Sorry, Mom, if you are listening, which you're probably not. So,
we know your mom doesn't listen to this show.
Yes, I thank you, Brian. But no, like, there's no way that they're even going to bring him as because he's going to want some money. And second off, they got Nick Mullins as their second string right now.
There would be some sort of plan, like you said, where it's more to showcase his talent, give him tape, and keep him relevant than anything else. And so it's mutually beneficial because the Raiders get all that attention and everything, and then they can jettison him, right before the season. And then Kaepernick has the tape and can do what he wants. But I'm over the Kaepernick talk now.
Yeah, Mike Genevieve's $9.99. A bitch ain't one. Bow. And yeah, the bow wow. You know what?
That was a good one.
Kaepernick. Yeah, that was a good one. Colin Kaepernick to us is about as interesting after we kind of come up with the conspiracy theory as the NBA Charlotte Hornets talk. So.
You know what, though? I think next year is the Hornets' chance to make it out of the elimination game. I really do.
We're going to make it out. We're not going to lose by 40.
You guys will make it into the real playoffs next year rather than the bullshit.
And then we'll get swept.
Absolutely. Swept right out of the building.
Yeah.
But till next time.
I will be at the game watching it.
The Raiders.
Yeah, Derek Carr's my new favorite team.
Go Bolts. Take care.
Yeah, this guy over
Since
here.
His canes are out.
I know. He was at the game, too.
Yeah.
He was sending pictures to me, and, listen, I'll let Hinsor have his tennis talk for about 3 minutes.
Yeah, no, I can talk to him. I'm not an expert.
I see that on my Twitter too.
Yeah, well,
you guys over the weekend just having tennis talk.
Yeah, well, the guy, I'll talk to whoever wants to talk to me on there. Oh, Scotland scored a late goal. They're down by 1 to Ukraine. This is setting up who the U.S. faces in their group stage at the World Cup, which we will be covering that.
Yeah, it's
extensively on this show once it comes around. Ukraine just scored.
When is it coming up?
What's that?
When is the World Cup? Is it July?
It's in like December.
Oh, that's right, because
it's
they
in
moved
Dubai.
It. That's right, they moved it because right.
Qatar, rather.
Qatar, but yeah, usually it's in the summer, correct?
Yes, but they all would have died.
They have fans.
They all would have died.
732.
What's up, Lummy? It's Alan from Cincinnati.
What's up, Alan from Cincinnati? Do you want to talk bowling?
What's up?
Do you want to talk bowling?
No, I don't think we covered everything from Roland Garros. Can we get back in there?
We get 2 tennis calls in a show.
What's
Are
up,
you
Alan?
serious?
Yeah.
Are you serious, Alan? You want to talk about the women's draw? Because we got an American and Pagula made a good run there to get to the quarters.
No, I'm joking, bro.
Oh, okay.
Right, please, thank you.
I was going to say, we got more to talk about. You're right.
Let's talk about your Lightning tonight.
Let's talk about the Lightning.
Let's talk about it. What do you got?
Well, I'm an Avs fan, but I really want it to be Avs Lightning. But I think that last night was like a clown concert between those two teams.
What was it, like 6-2?
8-6 was the final. It was 7-3 at one point.
With Vazzy and Sveshnikov.
Wait, are you comparing both our goalies? Are you really you're gonna like make Vazzy on that level?
On whose level?
Didn't he just say the Avs goalie?
No, I said last night was a clown show between those two teams. I said tonight is going to be different with Vazzy and whatever.
His name's Shesterkin.
Igor. Just call him Igor.
Yeah,
no, you can say Shesterkin. It's not hard to say. It's like sweet. It's like sweet gherkin, but you just shorten it to Shesterkin.
Oh, so sweet gherkin or
sweet gherkin.
Sweet gherkin or
yeah, Vasilevsky versus sweet gherkin.
Oh, they're both Russian.
Let's call him Sweet Gherkin. But I mean,
that's a cool nickname for him.
That actually is
You be in a pickle. You're in a pickle when you have to go up against Sweet Gherkin.
No.
Sorry, I talked all over you, Alan.
It's okay. I like that one, Brian. That was good. Sweet Gherkin.
Sweet Gherkin.
Igor Sweet Gherkin.
Igor Sweet Gherkin.
What are you guys thinking? I think that the Rangers, I
told you,
really good at home.
Lightning in 6. The Lightning will win tonight, and it'll be Lightning in 6.
I'm thinking Lightning in 5.
Is Point playing?
No.
Point had a bad practice today. I'm sorry, yesterday.
He didn't even step on the ice. Hagel is the one who actually left practice early yesterday.
No, they said Point went on the ice for like a couple minutes and left.
I thought that was Hagel.
No, Hagel had a really, really bad. Didn't he fall a couple times?
He's like, it's almost like him not. He's the one guy who's been hurt by not playing because he broke his foot in game 2, I guess, against the Panthers and went out and still played, or in game 5. I don't even remember. But he's tough through it. But then it started to heal. And so now that it's starting to heal, I don't think he's in a good in a good spot. So it could be Riley Nash or what's the guy's name? Starts with a K, Kepke or whatever it is.
Yeah, Kepke. Well, I thought I read that Point they skated around like twice, and he just looked.
He's not.
Lame.
I mean, the earliest the projections, the earliest they have him coming back is game 5, and I don't think he'll be back.
I think that's full of shit. I think they're just saying that.
I don't think he'll be back the rest of the season.
No,
he may make a cameo like Stamkos did, like a Willis Reed moment, but you can't do that in the NHL. You can't give up a spot. Every guy plays, and that's why the NHL is so much better than every other sport. Because the NBA, you'll have guys just sit on the bench all game long. They don't do shit. The same 6-7 guys play the entire game. In the NHL, you got to play every fucker that you got because there's going to be guys dinged up. There's going to be guys hurt. You got to get everybody out there. Even in the NFL, they don't have to play every guy that suits up for a game.
That is true.
Well, Brian, if you look at the box score, even from last night when it was 8-6, to piggyback on your comment, a lot of those goals were not scored from McKinnon, McDavid, Makar. Like the fourth and third line contributes so much in the postseason. That's why they trade for these guys at the trade deadline to get older players in there, and they tell the 22-year-old, you're not playing tonight. You may be faster, but you don't have the experience.
Yeah, no, it happens. I mean, looking at last night, what you have that's different with Edmonton is how many minutes Draisaitl and McDavid play. I mean, that is, you don't see that in the NHL. Forwards playing 24 minutes in a game, in a regulation game, is just unheard of. You get that from defensemen, like Hedman will play 25, 26 minutes in a playoff game, but have a forward out there playing that amount of ice time, that's why the Edmonton Oilers have no chance of winning a Stanley Cup final, because even if they're able to somehow get past the Avs, which I don't think with Mike Smith between the pipes they will be able to, there's no way that Draisaitl and McDavid have anything left in the tank come the sixth game of the Stanley Cup Finals. And you can't run guys out there 25 minutes a game as forwards. It's just not possible for them to play at that level.
Brian, if you're looking at it, how many minutes did McKinnon play last night?
McKinnon was out there for 21. That's much more reasonable.
3 minutes is a huge difference.
Huge. You're talking about playing an extra game over the course of a 7-game series.
Yeah.
21 minutes. They play an extra game if they're out there. And that's when you have the higher risk of injury when you start to become fatigued because you don't skate the same way.
Look at Makar. I bet you Makar, like you were saying, the defense, I bet you Makar played close to
27. He was out there for 27.
Yeah, but he's a defenseman.
But defense is different.
That's like Hedman. He's at 26-20.
Forwards are playing boards to boards, right? Defensemen, they really don't get boards to boards. So they're
but Makar is an end-to-end guy. I mean,
no, he is, and he does play that way. But he's also super young, and he is still at the end of the day a defenseman. So he plays the penalty kill, which those are not tough minutes. They are tough in the sense you're blocking shots, but you're not going up and down the ice on the PK.
Yeah, he's similar to a Hedman. That's why Hedman's averaging right now 26-20.
He played 22 minutes even strength. He had 5 minutes on special teams. So the special teams play is not as exerting as the even strength play in the playoffs, in my opinion. But no, you're right. I mean, you can't. Fatigue could become a factor for him. But elite defensemen are playing 25, 26 minutes a game in the playoffs. The forwards playing 24, 25 minutes a game is unheard of. You don't
Sure.
see
I mean,
any serious team doing that.
Even though you guys are going to New York tonight, I mean, I think this is. How many days did you guys have off? And they just came off. I know you
No,
guys,
the Lightning were off 9 days.
Was it 9?
9-day vacation.
Back-to-back 7.
Holy shit! I didn't know it was 9.
But yeah, the Lightning are coming off 9 days rest. New York's leans too heavily on their top two lines. I think the Lightning will take tonight 3-1. And once they win the first game of the series, it's over because they're not losing back to back. It doesn't happen.
That has not happened in 3 years.
Yeah. So if they win tonight, the series is, for all intents and purposes, is over. If they win game one.
Did you see? I think New York won their first road playoff game in Game 7 against the Hurricanes.
Well, that was the Hurricanes' first home loss too. I don't think that New York controls play enough to beat the Lightning. That's their biggest problem. You can beat the Lightning when you make them chase the game, when you can dictate the tempo and the pace, like the Leafs did.
Oh, yeah.
They
Toronto
were
did
able
that.
to. They had the skill and they had the game plan and the depth to control the game through all three. They only played. Now, granted, they only played 3 lines. But they had deep enough. They were deep enough on the 3 lines. That's why the Lightning beat them in Games 6 and 7 was because the Lightning roll out 4 lines consistently, and so you can control the pace against the Lightning and get them to chase the game a little bit and play a little bit outside their comfort zone. If New York's going to go with the style that they've gone with Pittsburgh and with Carolina, where they let the other team completely dictate the game, they're not going to beat the Lightning.
No.
I mean, Trouba can go out there and headhunt and maybe take Kucherov out. Then it becomes a different story. But if the Lightning don't suffer any significant injuries in this series, then I don't see any way. I know people, the Rangers in 7, Shesterkin, and whatever.
They're relying on Igor, whatever,
Sweet Gherkin. Igor Sweet Gherkin.
But that's what they're relying
on,
Brian.
Brian, I was going to correct you like Lummy did. Sweet Gherkin now.
Sweet Gherkin.
But Brian, you're exactly right, because the Rangers' game plan is pretty much they're relying on Sweet Gherkin.
Yeah, they pack it in. They clog the middle. They want you to take bad shots or low percentage shots from outside. And the problem for them is the Lightning, if they had point, this would be over in 5. But the Lightning have the skill and the star power and the firepower to create their shots, even with New York trying to slow them down. So I like the Lightning. It could be 5. I think 6 is the safer bet. If they win tonight, I'm confident that they win the series, barring a catastrophic injury.
If they win tonight, they're going 5.
Well, it could, but I mean, I think if they win tonight, the worst it goes is 6. They win tonight, lose game 2, come back, win both in Tampa, then they're up 3-1. New York wins game 5, and then it's 3-2, and then they Lightning close it out in game 6 at home.
And then they're just hanging out waiting for the Avs and the Oilers to just beat the crap out of each other.
I hope that series goes 7, and I hope game 7 goes to 7 overtimes.
But
that's impossible because the goal would be scored at some point very quickly in overtime.
It'd be like 21-21.
Yeah.
The goaltending in the West is not as good as what is in the Eastern Conference.
Oh, that's an understatement. I mean, I think the best 5 goaltenders best 4 goaltenders in hockey were in the East. I mean, Binnington's good in the playoffs, but St. Louis also is playing a style to protect him. And then Oettinger had a great series, but his time's going to come. But you look at Frederik Andersen, Vazzy, Sweet Gherkin, and then even the way Antti Ranta was playing against, now granted it was against the Rangers, but he looked better. I think Carolina had 2 goalies better than any of the goalies in the the Colorado Edmonton.
You're forgetting about the Penguins, Fort Stringer, chicken and rice.
Well, that's the other thing is the Rangers haven't beaten up on any starting goalies.
That is true.
So, take that for what it's worth. But we'll see tonight. All talk's over. The Lightning can lose this game, and they're fine. I think if the Rangers lose, it's over in game 1, and I'm saying that.
Take that to the bank, Alan.
If the Rangers lose at home tonight, that's been their only stronghold. I mean, they lost that triple overtime game to the Penguins, game 1 of the first round. But if you win tonight, you're good.
All right.
Thank you, Alan.
All right, take care, Alan.
Appreciate it, buddy. Go fuck the Avs.
I mean, whatever.
Him and Grouper Lips, Avs, Marks.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I know it's good.
You don't want just to be a Lightning markout fest.
No,
It makes us seem too local of a show. We're international.
Listen, Brian, we're super international. I'm sure we're going to get an Australian call right now, but I'm saying I'm hoping that it's going to be the Avs versus the Lightning, because then we can get some shit talk going back and forth, because we already know that the Lightning are going to win.
I mean, that's that was the matchup I thought would be last year, and the matchup I would have predicted at the preseason this year. So yeah, I mean, it's a long time coming for the Lightning to play the Avs. We'll see if the Avs can hold it up with
They did
when Kemper went down. That game was 7-3, and it quickly became 7-6.
Now they did win the regular season against us. The whole one game we played, I believe.
Yeah, the Rangers took all 3 against us. I don't give a shit about that.
No. I'm just saying.
I'm not putting any stock in regular season hockey.
I'm not counting the Rangers against the regular season. I'm just saying, because I know that there'd be shit talking in chat right now if I didn't say that the Avs won in the regular season. The Rangers, on the other hand, I feel like the Lightning kind of just coasted through this season.
Yeah,
I mean, did enough to make the playoffs.
They knew that they weren't going to put the effort in and the energy in to win the President's Cup or to take the home seed, but they also know that they're good enough to win on the road. In most sports, out of all professional sports, NHL playoff hockey, home ice advantage has the least impact on the outcome of the game out of all the major professional sports. Yeah. You would think it would be baseball, but it's actually hockey.
I would have guessed baseball first.
But baseball gives you a better advantage because you bat last and you strategically can make moves. Hockey, you get the last change when you're the home team. So coming out of timeouts and play stoppages, you get to put your guys on the ice after the other team decides who they're putting out.
See, we are international. Brian Trevor from UK is in chat right now.
Good day, mate.
Good day.
No, that's
Australia.
not it. I know.
Tea and crumpets.
What's up, bloke?
Bloke. Yeah, see? I mean, we're international right now. Brian, back to, I just want to, I mean, we don't really touch on baseball. I mean, baseball's still in that, whole
It's in that whole point of the season where you're like, just let my team play 55% or better at this point and keep us in playoff contention. The problem, too, though, is with these wild cards now,
yeah,
it just makes the regular season less important.
Exactly.
Like, okay, the Rays, they've struggled. They lost 2 to Texas. They've lost, 4 of their last 6.
They split the series against the Yankees.
The Red Sox are coming on, but then they lost 2 in a row. So, they're 5.5 clear of the Red Sox.
The one I'm nervous about, though, and they have turned it on, is the Blue Jays.
Yeah, well, the Blue Jays, who I thought were going to be winning the AL East at this point, and they haven't put it all together. Their pitching's been suspect. The Yankees are still, I think, playing above their pitching. The pitching is playing out of their mind. That's gonna regress a little to the mean. The Yankees aren't going to continue playing 70% baseball. They'll come back down to earth a little bit, but I think that they're building enough of a cushion that they'll probably win the AL East.
But it's like when we talked last time we were on here, I think 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. Last time we were on the air, was you got the East, you got the West. They're padding it. The Central is just probably going to have one team out of it. The rest of them are going to fight for 500. You got the National League going to fight. I think the East is going to be a nice little battle, even though
the East is not. What? You think the Mets are going to blow an 11-game lead?
No. I'm saying for that second with the
what?
Hold on.
Those teams aren't even in thought. The West is where all the playoff teams are.
I was trying to say when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, remember the Marlins were over exceeding. The Braves were right up there. They're all starting to fade right now. You still have the West that are in competition. The Central is probably only going to have 2 teams, and the West is going to have 3. But if you remember when we talked about it, it was like the Mets, the Braves, the Marlins were going.
I don't think we were giving much stock to the Braves. I think we were saying the West is going to have all the playoff teams, and the East is done. I mean, the East is over. It's almost over already.
Well, about 3 weeks ago, the Braves were a little over 500, and it was going to be between the Braves and I think it was the Cardinals, and they're all starting to fade off, and the Cardinals are starting to pick it up because remember we were talking about the Central has maybe the 3 shittiest teams. Between the Reds, the Cubs, and the Pirates.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
So that those 2 are going to have kind of a top tier, easy place. But I mean, like that right now. But you're still looking at what? We're June 1st. I mean, this whole thing could change after the All-Star break. So I mean, baseball is baseball. I was going to touch back on the NFL. I was going to talk about what you thought about Aaron Donald and his contract.
He's not going to retire.
You think it's a big bluff?
Yes.
I mean, he did come out after the Super Bowl and say, like, I've reached what I wanted to reach.
Yeah, right.
Or do you think it's just him?
He has a chance to go down as the greatest of all time, and you don't.
Greatest defensive player of all time.
I mean,
come on. Brian, don't say he's going to be the greatest football player of all time. He's the greatest defensive player of all time.
No, I mean, obviously the quarterback's in a different position.
Exactly.
I would say the greatest non-quarterback position player of all time. That he has that type of chance to be that much better than his peers. Not when I'm saying greatest of all time, I'm talking about in comparison to the difference between him and then everybody else who's competing with him. His career thus far he's a Hall of Famer right now.
Yeah, but see, with defensive players though, it's hard for them to just totally be able to change a game.
Aaron Donald does that, dude. His win rate against double teams is insane. If you don't think Aaron Donald is the reason why the Rams were able to win the Super Bowl this year, he's as big of a part as anybody on the offensive side of the ball. He is that good, man. He changes. When you look at the number of plays that he's double teamed on, and then his win rate against double teams, it's insane. His numbers are off the chart. In fact, his stats, while they're amazing, don't even begin to give his play justice.
No, I'm just saying, when you say the greatest of all time, and I know you said after the quarterback, I mean, you got to think back in the day how the running back was so important too. I mean, I think he would be, and it's possibly the...
Who helps Aaron Donald on the field? Because a running back is only as good as his offensive line and his quarterback blocking for him.
I don't know. Do you want to say that to Barry Sanders? He didn't have a line. He didn't have a quarterback.
I mean, he had a little bit of a line, but...
Come on, Brian. If Barry Sanders was on the Cowboys instead of Emmitt Smith, there'd be no one touching Barry Sanders' records right now. That guy was juking four guys out of the backfield.
He was a transcendental player. But what I'm saying is... Hold on, hear me out. Aaron Donald's success is 100% based on Aaron Donald.
100%, yes.
Okay? He doesn't have anybody else on the field who bails him out on a play. He is his own guy out there.
Stunts, though, do help.
I mean, look, they can... It doesn't matter. But here's the point with him. It doesn't matter what they're running. He succeeds. He gets doubled and tripled teamed out there, and he beats it. The guy is next level. He's not like anything we've ever seen before, ever in the NFL. What he's doing right now, Pro Bowl every single year of his career, all pro every single year except the first, which he should have been, was Defensive Rookie of the Year. I mean, the guy is he's insane. 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards already. He's only in his 8th season? I mean, it's nuts. What he's doing is nuts.
But Brian, he's 30 now, right?
He's missed, I think, 2 games in his career, 3 starts in his career. I mean, it's nuts. He's been healthy. What he's doing is crazy.
I agree with you. I think he is, at this point, possibly, he plays another couple years, he is probably one of the best.
He's a first ballot Hall of Famer right now. If he does not play another snap in the NFL, he's going into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot.
Which I 100% agree with you, Brian. But for you to say he's the greatest player of all time outside of a quarterback, I know it's going to sound, but Barry Sanders, Brian, if you look at his stats as a running back, Barry Sanders played till he was 30, which is the same as Aaron Donald.
He's 31 now.
Well,
he
Barry
just turned
Sanders,
31 last week. Happy birthday, Aaron.
And Barry Sanders retired at 30.
Right.
Barry Sanders had 15,000 yards.
Okay.
With no line.
Uh-huh.
Was always, literally always, like, everyone always looked him. He, like, what, in, was that 9 seasons? He almost had 100 TDs, which on a shitty line had led the league 18, like, ridiculous stats.
Okay.
Like, and he had no line, no quarterback, no wide receivers. I mean, what are you going to say? Scott Mitchell to Herman Edwards or whatever his name was? Charlie Batch. I mean, I only know these guys because every time they played the Bucks, Barry Sanders would light the Bucks up for 225 yards because it was it, and we had a good defense. Like, For a guy that literally sat and never, did the Lions ever make the playoffs? When I think one time,
maybe 1 or 2
and I think
seasons.
the Bucks beat him. I think the Bucks beat him the 1 year, and that was, I think, when he had 2,053. Yeah, I'm looking 2,053 yards. He was the MVP at 29. Like he never averaged less than 1,100 yards on a shitty fucking team.
I'm just saying that Aaron Donald is in the conversation already.
I just don't think
at this stage in his career.
I think it's hard to say the best player of all time just for the position. And I know
at his position, I think it's definite.
100%.
But in terms of
defensive player, I would put him.
And
up there
I know it's hard because the ball's not in his hand, right? And he can, but at the same time, we're looking at what he's sustained since his very first season in this league, the greatness that he's played with, the level that he's played with. He's missed 2 games in his entire career. 2 games. Like, that's nuts for the position he plays, and the physicality that he plays with. And no player gets double teamed as much as he does. Look at the rates. I mean, if you Google 2021 NFL double team rates, it's like he's like double and triple the next closest guy. And his win percentage against double teams is like 20 times better than any other player.
813-90-BUBBA, 813-90-BUBBA. See if you agree with me or Brian. But when you say best ever, like you're just saying injury. Well, Barry Sanders missed 5 games, 6 games in his career.
That's 3 times more than Aaron Donald.
But also Barry Sanders, a running back with no line, getting his absolute ass handed to him.
So Aaron Donald last season got double teamed on 60% of the snaps, and his win rate on those was almost 28%.
Okay, how about this one, Brian?
Like he's in a world of his own, is what I'm trying to say.
I know. Listen, and I understand where you're coming. I really do. I mean, I really do think he's one of the best.
Like people want to talk
players.
about Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett and all this. They don't get double teamed. They get double teamed at half the percentage, less than half the percentage that Aaron Donald does. Aaron Donald gets double teamed almost 3 times more than Micah Parsons and still has a win rate near 30%.
Now, hold on, Brian. I'm going to ask you this one. You're a GM. You see what the career right now, because they're both pretty much 30. Okay, he's 31 now, but the stat that he has, number 1 pick, you're building a team. You take Aaron Donald or take Barry Sanders?
Who's my quarterback?
Doesn't matter.
Well, that matters.
No, Brian, because Barry Sanders
number
didn't play
one,
with a quarterback.
in this NFL right now, my number 1 pick is a quarterback.
No. Between
Yes.
those 2 guys. No, I'm saying between those 2 guys. Who are you picking? Barry Sanders, Aaron Donald.
Barry Sanders is a quitter who quit the league at 30. So give me Aaron Donald.
He wanted to get out of there.
As long as he's not a quitter.
But you don't know that because he's 31.
We don't know that.
Hold on. But is Aaron Donald right now threatening to leave?
He's threatening it because he wants. This is why he wants the biggest contract in NFL history. And right now, on the defensive side, I think he deserves it.
And you know what Barry Sanders wanted when he retired? He wanted to be fucking traded because he was getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah, well, if Barry Sanders should have played during free agency, it's his mistake when he was born.
Yeah, you are. Hold on, you're telling me right now if you had the number 1 pick. All right, you know what? Here you go. The best available quarterback in the draft. You have Aaron Donald, Barry Sanders, and the best available quarterback is Tim Tebow. Okay? Who are you drafting number 1 overall to build your franchise around?
I'll take Aaron Donald.
Oh, because what if he retires, Brian? Then what are you going to do?
Because in this NFL, that is so in today's NFL, Barry Sanders' value is about half of what it was in 1990.
What? No,
half.
No, the level of play back then was
garbage. Was horseshit. The guys that are practice squad guys now would be all pros in the 90s.
Oh, Brian,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Come on.
The level of physicality and athleticism in today's NFL is unmatched at any point in time.
Yeah, but you're saying that Barry Sanders would have come out 10 years later, and
he would have had in this NFL, in this current NFL, Barry Sanders would be a pretty good running back.
Pretty good. good running back.
He wouldn't be Derrick Henry. He would not be an every down back anymore. He wouldn't make it through a season. Not with these. Listen,
Brian,
shush your mouth real quick.
Brian,
Let me make this
me.
point. Barry Sanders was not playing against 6'3", 260-pound linebackers that run 4.40s. Okay, he wasn't getting hit by diesel trucks that could run just as fast as him.
Yeah, but
that is the new NFL, buddy.
But Brian, hold on, maybe this point. They tackle different. They protect a lot more with the heads. They can't do with all that cheap shit that they used to do back in the day. And second, Brian,
they can't do that because the players would all be dead because the physicality. There were 2 linebackers in the league as good as any of the linebackers starting in the NFL right now.
No way.
There's no way. It's not even close.
Brian, listen, Brian. Barry Sanders would have been like left, right, juke, spin move, double tap, and a fucking jersey being drugged from behind.
Barry Sanders would be in the medical tent half the time. Half the time.
I don't think so.
No, there were Lawrence Taylor's the exception. You're talking about the greatest player. I'm not saying Barry Sanders wouldn't play in the NFL now. He just wouldn't be Barry Sanders in today's NFL. Number one, the emphasis on the run game isn't there. The slippery running backs have very little value in this league. Very little. Well, how was Barry Sanders in pass protection? He'd get fucking blown up. He wouldn't have been an every down back in this NFL. He wouldn't have been. Sorry.
But if
the truth hurts, Barry Sanders lovers.
But if he was in college and he played where he had to protect, or if he had
college,
was
you're going to go to college now?
No, but I'm saying if he had to learn that way, then he
wouldn't have made it. That's my point.
Oh,
he wasn't physical enough for this NFL. Najee Harris is beefed up to 244 to make it through a season. Derrick Henry's 250. What was Barry Sanders running around at? 210, soaking wet?
Yeah, but they all thought Barry Sanders was too small back then, too.
No, he wasn't too small for the fat, slow linebackers that they had chasing him.
He was 203, by the way.
Okay. He wasn't too small for the pathetic excuse for linebackers that they had in the late 80s and early 90s.
Could Derek Brooks play in this league right now?
Derek Brooks was late 90s, dude.
I'm asking.
He could play. He wouldn't be Hall of Famer Derek Brooks in this league.
Okay, well, I'm saying that because, late 90s when Barry Sanders was playing at the age of 29, he was still juking out the Hall of Famer Derek Brooks, juking out the Warren Sapp's, juking out the
I'm saying
John
this
Lynch's.
game, you're not going to say that the physicality and talent level in the NFL hasn't changed substantially in the last 24 years? Do you think John Lynch would even be a starter in the NFL now?
No, John Lynch would be playing baseball because listen, that's a safety position. That's totally different. That whole safety position is way different than back in the day.
Linebacker position's different than back in the day. Defensive tackle. They had fat slobs playing in the 80s as defender, 330-pound DTs. Give me a break, man. The fact that you're not agreeing with me makes me very angry.
Hold on. Are you talking about what's his name from the Packers?
Reggie White?
No, the defensive tackle. Who's like 405?
I'm talking about all the slobs that they had on the D-line in the 80s
first off, Reggie White
and
was
90s
not a slob,
in the NFL.
Though. But remember there was like, what was his, started with a B. He was like 400 pounds playing on the line.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Well, yeah, listen, Brian.
Look, I'm sorry to break all you middle-aged men's hearts, okay? The players that you loved and admired wouldn't do shit in today's NFL. It's from a physicality standpoint. They wouldn't have been as good as they were. They were playing against inferior talent. Period. If you're telling me that the talent level in the NFL hasn't leveled out to the point where the difference between being an all-pro player and the difference between getting cut is just a fraction of a hair. In the old NFL, it was massive. Massive. The level of talent now, the level of competition now is otherworldly. It's unfathomable. It's not even in the same. It's a different sport than it was in the 80s and 90s.
So
different game completely.
All right, let me ask you this then: a Herschel Walker, right? How would he do in this NFL?
Let me ask you this.
No, hold on, answer me real quick, Brian. Herschel Walker,
he would have done pretty well because he was a little beefier.
So he sucked back then. He didn't suck.
He didn't suck.
No, he didn't suck.
He would have been okay. He wasn't smart enough to pick up pass blocks. I mean, he's got a lot of head injuries.
From the NFL?
Yeah, in college. I mean, the guy got blown up a lot.
But like all those big, so those big running backs.
John McEnroe wouldn't win a set in pro tennis today. Are you kidding me? Like the way he was then, no.
So are you that guy that pretty much says everyone before 1990 would never be able to play in baseball, football, basketball?
It's not that they wouldn't be able to play. They would have been training under different circumstances. They would have been coming up under different scenarios. They would have been facing competition equal to or greater than what they are right now, what they were then.
So Michael Jordan would not be the greatest basketball player of all time. Playing in NBA
in
now.
Today's NBA, Michael Jordan would score 70 points a game.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
There's a few exceptions.
Okay, well, I guess we agree on
so
basketball.
let me ask you this. How much time do you think Troy Aikman had to throw the ball?
Okay, that's true.
No, I'm asking you a question about the way the game has changed.
Triple T, da, say day, T, $9.99.
Okay. Okay. How much time did quarterbacks have to get rid of the ball in the 80s and 90s?
Well, they took a six-step drop.
That's my point. The quarterbacks now have to be able to get rid of the ball in 2.4 seconds or they're getting sacked. No, I'm talking about the game as a whole. Why do you think that's changed for quarterbacks? Because linebackers and D linemen have become so physical, such specimens of human physicality and athleticism that the quarterbacks have no chance if they can't get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds.
I'm going to read our 999 from Tippy Tay Sada Tay. Derek Brooks could still get from sideline to sideline as fast as any linebacker today while in his prime and is the best fundamental tackling linebacker of all time. He'd be an all-pro today.
Yeah, all these old guys in here, man. It's great. Look, hold on to it because it's your youth. I get it. It's scary to get old.
But you hear what you just said about Troy Aikman having all that time, right? With his line?
What?
Troy Aikman having all that time with the six-step drop, blah, 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 right?
The NFL was different back then.
But if you put Barry Sanders on the line, or the Cowboys line, he probably has...
They wouldn't need to run the ball as much because he had better players around him. Like
Emmitt Smith still broke the fucking record.
Yeah.
And Barry Sanders would have broke the record by the time he was 31. Then.
There was no free agency then. The whole thing was a joke. I mean, you can't even compare. Like the Cowboys are they're the worst franchise in football because they haven't won shit since their players could go out on the open market and sign. So when they stopped the ability to just stack their roster with talent that through the draft and everything else, then they got exposed. But what I'm saying is, and this point was well made, and you can't just gloss over it, okay?
No, I agree.
Troy Aikman had 5-6 seconds to get rid of a ball in the old NFL. Why is that game changed? Because guys like Aaron Donald are unfucking stoppable.
No, because even back then, people were saying that like a Reggie White or...
There was one or two of those dudes, man. There's a lot of those dudes now.
There's not a lot of Aaron Donalds right now.
No, there's only one Aaron Donald. Let's be clear on that. But you've got your Myles Garretts and your Micah Parsons and those types of guys that are still like elite level, that would have been the best player in the league in the 90s, second best player in the league at their position in the 90s, that are the 10th best player in their league at their position now. That's my point.
First off, I think Troy Aikman got lucky playing on the team he did. I don't think he would have been a Hall of Famer if he didn't play for the Cowboys. I think he's good, but I don't think he was a great quarterback. I understand what you're saying. He had to do literally a hoppity scotch back to the sixth drop, and then he had Alvin Harper and Michael Irvin just
running
long. Yeah,
go
exactly.
Try and cover a guy for 8 seconds.
And then they had what's his name, Whitecheck or whatever his name was. I can't think of the damn tight end, just on a drop off or handed off to Emmitt Smith. I mean, that was a totally different team.
They've changed the rules in the NFL now because quarterbacks wouldn't make it through the first half of the season.
Jane Novacek, thank you.
The quarterbacks wouldn't make it through the first half of the season. And that is all because the guys on the defensive side of the ball have become freaks of nature. It's just not natural to do what they can do at the size that they play at, and it's insane. I mean, Aaron Donald is 6'1", 280, and I bet you he runs a 4.5 40.
Let me ask, how would Deion Sanders do in this?
He was,
this league.
The guys that were physically above, like Deion got it done with physicality, right? His athleticism. So those guys that were just athletic freaks, and I'm not saying Barry Sanders would have been garbage in today's NFL, but he wouldn't have been the Barry Sanders that we all remember because, first of all, he would not make it through a season running the ball 32 times a game. It wouldn't happen. Not a guy who's 203. I'm sorry. But the game has changed. And if you all aren't willing to admit it and you say, oh, I'm high, I'm this, I'm that, then that's on you. I'm fucking right, okay? Period. It's over. I'm right. Next topic.
Well, I was going to say, too, and I agree with Tippity Tie Saadate. The training and everything is way better, obviously, nowadays. So those players that were elite during the shitty times, as you would call it, might be a lot better.
They could be better, but they're also going against better competition. There was 2 guys in the league that ran 4.4s in the 80s. They didn't have that level of speed. So if you were one of those guys, you were so much faster than everybody else. You could get by with just speed. No. You can't play that anymore now. That game doesn't play anymore.
Technology wasn't that good, though. The stopwatches weren't as good. Come on. There's guys that are in the combine, they're like 4.2. I mean, they're running a 4.2. Then they get out there, they're not running that.
You're talking track speed versus game speed. There's a difference there. I grant you that.
Yes.
But are you really going to sit there and tell me, make an argument right now that the players, the athletes in the 80s were anywhere comparable to the athletes in the NFL now?
First off,
you think guys with neck boards would be out there fucking beating me? Get out of town.
First off, Barry Sanders only played 1 year in the 80s, okay, when he was 21.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the guy with the mohawk from
Oklahoma.
Think
something magically happened in 89 to 90 to make these guys different? No.
Yeah, Bo Jackson, too.
The change happened in the late 90s. That's when the game started to evolve. That's when players started to evolve. That's when technology started to outpace, just individual, natural-born talent. It's not enough to be just talented anymore. You have to be a genetic specimen, unless you're Hunter Renfrow.
What about I saw his picture. Hey, that, by the way, I almost sent that to you on Twitter and be like, Brian, what are you doing at the beach?
Yeah.
Because that's what I picture with your shirt off is what you look like.
It's not too far off. I've got a Hunter Renfrow body.
Exactly. But I mean, hold on. Look at Tom Brady. He didn't have a superstar body and didn't run a 4.6 40, and he wasn't the tallest. He didn't have the biggest hands. He was smart.
Yeah.
So,
let's be clear
too.
here. Quarterbacks are protected in the NFL now. And I made that point earlier. If quarterbacks were not protected in the NFL, with these guys out there, with Aaron Donald coming down on them every single play, we wouldn't have any quarterbacks making it through a season. There'd be none. And the NFL realized right away, when they started losing these guys, 2-3 guys first week of the season, they're like, what the fuck? We cannot have this happen. We can't have our franchise guys going down left and right. And if they didn't change the rules to protect the quarterback, that's where we would be at. Because all of these guys are better than the guys that came before them, substantially.
We will move on after this. I make this point, and if you want to keep going back and forth, but I'll say this. You will agree that the 80s and 90s, early 90s, the linemen, offensive linemen, everyone, they were tough. They also played very cheap, correct?
Yeah, it was cheap and dirty because you could get away with it.
So the players now, whether offense or defense, are protected. So you're telling me right now, if you have a left tackle or a right tackle from the 80s and 90s that says, I don't give two fucking shits about this motherfucker's knees because everyone hated each other, and Aaron Donald hit your quarterback so hard and twice that guy wouldn't cut him and almost like take his knee out and try to break his knee like they did a lot of times, then that's it. Because it'd be like, okay, well, you know what? They're going to suspend me a couple games, but Aaron Donald's now out for the rest of the year. So that's what I'm saying. You got to look, just like in the NBA.
First of all, let me tell you right now, there isn't a left tackle or a right tackle who was playing in the 80s who would eat. Aaron Donald would be past them before the ball even hit the quarterback's hands. So unless they're coming after him after a play's over and he's walking back to the huddle, then that's a crime, brother. There's no way.
No, but hold on. If Aaron Donald is sitting at tackle and you have your center just coming down after he snaps it and just takes out one knee, and then you have
Aaron Donald
guard
against guys in the 80s would be lining up at right defensive end and blowing past every single one of them every single play. There's not a guy who started on the offensive line of any team in the 1980s that could one-on-one stop Aaron Donald for more than 2 plays in a game.
I'm going 90s. I'm going 90s.
Okay, now you're going into the 90s.
Well, no, that's where Barry Sanders was
the game
90s.
Wasn't as dirty in the 90s. The 80s were filthy dirty. By the 90s, it started to clean up a little bit. Not totally. You still had a few dirty players, but by the mid to late 90s, the game had cleaned up a whole lot. A whole lot.
Tony Vasilevsky.
Yeah, you had the backside blocks and things like that, and chop blocking and things. Sure. I'm saying that Aaron Donald would have been able to play defensive end in the 80s and blown past the best right and left tackles there were.
So do you think he comes back?
Yeah, I think he's just playing for the biggest defensive contract ever right now, and he's going to get it.
What do you think of the Bucs signing Hicks?
I'm a little shocked that Sue didn't come back. They obviously felt that there would be a drop-off. Akeem Hicks, say what you will about Ndamukong Suh, he doesn't miss starts. And Akeem Hicks has been injury-prone. So I have a little bit of a problem with it from the standpoint that they're paying him $1 million more than they paid Sue last year. And they are getting a guy who, is not as durable as Sue has proven himself to be. So from that standpoint, I'm not sure that I like it. I mean, I know Sue's getting up there in age. He's 36 now. And Hicks is only 31, 32. If Hicks can stay healthy, it's a steal of a deal. He'll play like a $20 million lineman.
Yeah.
But if he's only playing 6-7 games in the season, that's going to force you to play the rookie way more than you wanted to.
I don't think they want to.
No, they don't want to.
And there's been talks that they could possibly bring Sue back, but I know Sue says he wants to get paid. I mean, he is a smart guy. He's got investors and different things like that, and he gives out financial advice. But with Donald sitting out, Sue's going to have to wait till Donald, I think, resigns, because they're talking about Sue going back to the Rams.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't want to play against an angry Ndamukong Suh. You want to talk about a guy who has the physical tools of the 2000s with the anger and the meanness of the 80s.
Yeah, no shit, man. I wish that guy would literally just put that anger on 90% of the time.
Yeah.
I'll take 60% of the time. What he did in that playoff game against the Rams, you could tell no one could stop him.
When he puts his mind to it, he's a next level player. But he's stayed healthy, and he has played cleaner, lately. The last 4 or 5 years, he's cleaned up that reputation of the Sue Stomper and things like that. But
my buddy played against him at K-State in the Big 12 championship, and they said that they've never been hit harder than when they got sacked. I think it was 8 times by Sue. That the line couldn't stop them. No matter what they did, they could have brought every protection in. And they said Sue was just a man among boys. And when he was mad and wanted to change the game, he said that he's never been hit harder in his whole entire career when he was at K-State.
Yeah, he's got that anger, man. And maybe that's the one area that Donald doesn't have is that edge. But he's just something else. He's just something else.
Yeah, well... Did you hear the last thing? Because I know you got a hard out at 5:30. All the reports of like the Mannings and the different NFL, former NFL players trying to buy NFL teams. Is that one thing? I know that the Washington Commanders, Snyder, is going to be out. The Broncos still haven't got a guy. Do you think they're going to gift one or even give it easier to the old players? I
think having the players involved in ownership is the greatest thing that can happen to any sport. I think all these fucking skinny neck pencil pushers like myself owning teams is a joke. These wannabe studs like Jerry Jones, who is a mediocre at best athlete in his life, living out his childhood dreams by owning a team is not good for the sport.
I played at the University of Arkansas with Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah, and there was no face masks.
I was a defensive tackle, Brian.
Yeah,
I'm like Aaron Donald.
Yeah, exactly. So yes, I think the more players that get involved in ownership, the better it is in the long run for sports. 100%.
I agree with you. I'd like to see them all.
Would you rather the Mannings own the Washington Commanders or Daniel Snyder?
No, the Mannings, 100%.
Right.
Just like Tom Brady wanted to try to own a team. All these different
Would you rather
groups.
Wayne Huizenga own the Miami Marlins or Derek Jeter?
Well, yeah, Derek Jeter, even though Huizenga screwed the Rays out of getting the team back in 93. So, I'm sure you remember that. Don't you?
Yep. Oh, intimately. Well, the Rays got played. They allowed themselves to be played.
They got played by the White Sox, the Giants.
Yeah, well, they allowed themselves to be a bargaining chip in stadium negotiations, which you never want to be.
Good old St. Petersburg.
Yeah. So, hey, we'll build it before you guys get here. That was a mistake. Because
that's what they did back in the 80s, Brian.
I know. It worked out well.
Different times.
Yeah, exactly. People were stupider and slower in the 80s.
Don Mattingly had the best swing in the
and not
MLB.
as physical. Yeah. Now, look, the hitters in the 80s hitting for average, but there was, 3 guys that could throw 100 then? Now every fucking pitcher coming out of the bullpen hits triple digits?
I think that's just the radar gun is juiced up.
You're right. It's just the technology's improved, so the radar guns shoot faster.
And the steroids are improved.
That I'll agree with.
Yes,
that's gotten better.
Yeah, and because Nolan Ryan could throw it to his.
So listen. Brian the Babyface Matroni and Regina Hunter will be on the big show tomorrow at 8 a.m.
All right.
For your listening enjoyment.
Sweet.
Call with your family law questions, or if you get your neck hurt in a slip and fall, auto accident, dog bite, I'm your guy. It's always fun, Lummy, doing this. Sorry we missed out on it last week, but I think we'll be back next week.
Of course.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Don't forget, we are live tomorrow, 6 a.m.
No, I will not always take your call, so don't. I'm one of those lawyers who won't.
Yes, well, guess what? Brian and Regina are live 8 a.m. tomorrow. Bubba and everyone, me, Blitz, Anna, 6 a.m. twitch.tv/The Bubba Army. And for all your great Bubba Army merch, check out Bubba Army store, Bubba Army shop.
Tell us if you want this jersey pre-ordered, the special Babyface Bubba Army 69 420 American flag jersey, baseball jersey. This one right now is one of a kind, but you can have one too.
I think that should be a one and only spin-off.
No, we've got 2 or 3
off.
people in chat who have already said they want in on this amazing jersey action.
Yes, the mark.
I'll be wearing it tomorrow on the big show, and we'll see if we can get some product. Look, Bubba's not allergic to money.
No.
If there's money to be made, he'll have these fuckers printed up.
Oh, of course.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you, Brian, and thank you, everyone. We will see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m., twitch.tv/The Bubba Army. Have a great rest of your day, everyone.